Hey, welcome back everybody. 6 Foot Hacks here. Got for you guys today week 2 of the CCL D-League, and this week we will be taking on the Last Hope Umbreons. Now, I know I said that these would be live narrated in the future, but unfortunately during this match, Sergio decided to wake up and scream. So this was a rather interesting game, to say the least. There are definitely some lessons to be learned in this week's CCL D-League match. Now, if you may have missed week 1, a link to that should be down in the description or at the end on the end screen annotation, so you guys can go check that out before or after this match, whichever you would like to do so. Of course, make sure to hit the like button down below, guys, and to answer the question of the day, which should be on your screen. So with that being said, let's take a look at the squad that I will be bringing. You can see at this point what the matchups are, and to be perfectly honest with you guys, we have a really bad matchup going into this game. Like, it's only week 2 and we're already in such a tough matchup, and our opponent, I forgot to mention, is Nightmare. Sorry, I didn't mention his team, but I'm pretty sure that he is a subscriber if I'm not mistaken, so his channel link and stuff will be down in the description for you guys to go check out and possibly see his side of our match. Now, why I say that we have a really bad matchup is because the combination of Dragonite plus Magnezone and or Galvantula can pretty much just wreck my entire draft. Like, there's really nothing too good that I can bring to deal with the combination of those 3 Pokemon. Then of course he does have Tapu Lele, which is an absolute monster in Psychic terrain, Psychic Surge, whichever you like to call it, and depending on if it's Specs or Scarf will determine on how we can deal with that. +1 Dragonite or even just Banded Dragonite could potentially just wreck through my team, because we do not have a proper Fairy type on our squad. That's one downside to my draft, is that we don't have a Fairy type Pokemon, so Dragonite can just come in and, if worst comes to worst, lock itself into Banded Outrage and just nuke everything that we have. So obviously those are the 3 main things that I'm expecting him to bring. I also expect him to want to bring the Vaporeon and the Fortress. And as for a because Galvantula, Magnezone, Dragonite, Tapu Lele, and then Vaporeon and Fortress is what I'm expecting him to bring. Above that, he could also bring Staraptor. Staraptor is also something else that is a slight issue. I really don't see him wanting to bring Araquanid because I feel like it doesn't do too much in this matchup. I feel like Galvantula does more than what Araquanid would do in our game. So as you can see, I have, making her debut is Samantha the Scolipede, nice adamant, 3 attacks with Protect, because after +1, we are able to outspeed everything that is not Scarfed on his team, and then mid to late game, this Mon can put in some work. But I'm hoping to be able to kind of break his walls down early on in the matchup, and hopefully late game either try and win with Curslax or win with Double Dance Reuniclus here. The good thing about his draft is that he doesn't have a dark type, so I can hopefully acid armor and then Calm Mind. And the reason why I have Psychic over Psyshock is because after doing the calc, Psychic does more damage than what Psyshock would be doing to his team, so Psychic is the better move in this matchup. So if I'm able to get up 1 acid armor, he's not going to be able to knock me out with Bounded Outrage from Dragonite, and then I can just set up from there. Then Curslax can set up 2 curses, and unless he has Haze or Roar on his Vaporeon, which I'm pretty sure he's going to have one of the 2, I have to find out which one of the 2 so I can then play around it from there. But Curslax can definitely put in some work against his squad. Then we have Scarfed Kabutops here because we're able to outspeed Adamant +1 Dragonite, and as long as I'm able to break his multi-scale and keep him out of multi-scale range, I'm pretty sure that Stone Edge is going to be a straight Oko on him after Rock, so that's going to be really great. Also gives me a form of potentially getting rid of Sticky Webs if he does decide to bring Galvantula, or if he wants to try and Spike Stack with Fortress. Since he doesn't have a Ghost type, he can't stop me from Rapid Spinning, so that's really good. Next off, we have Spadef, Bulky, Cobalion, because this is really the only answer I have for Galvantula and Magnezone. Magnezone cannot knock me out with Hidden Power Fire, and then I can bop it with the Close Combat, and then Galvantula is not able to 2 KO Cobalion, and then from there I can weaken it with Close Combat or Volt Switch or try to get up my rocks, and then we have enough speed to outspeed Adamant Dragonite, much like Kabutops here. So if he does bring Jolly Dragonite, which I highly doubt, I really don't think that he should bring Jolly, I'm pretty sure, and I'm very positive that Adamant is the better version of Dragonite to bring, then it shouldn't be that big of an issue because Hidden Power Ice still does a decent chunk of damage to it outside of multi-scale range, so I'm not too concerned about it. And then Volt Switch is for momentum gaining. And then finally off we have good old Tangrowth here, a kind of pseudo answer to Galvantula because we do have the Tanga Berry, which halves the damage of a bug type move. We didn't have to go max defense because the extra damage from max Bedef to 232 really isn't important at all, and then with the 24 defense EVs I can take physical hits slightly better, even though my physical defense is already insane. So Rock Slide of course is mainly for the Galvantula. Hidden Power Fire is for Fortress. This is actually my main way to try and break down Vaporeon in Fortress because Tangrowth can in theory beat both of them 1v1 depending on rolls and depending on the sets that he is running. Then Earthquake is only really for Magnezone if he does decide to bring it. Outside of that, I really have no reason to be Earthquaking anything else. Then again, I guess I could have maybe brought something like Leech Seed instead, or even Sleep Powder. Sleep Powder would have probably really come in handy in this matchup, but it's not that big of an issue. So yeah guys, that's just a quick run through of the team. Again, what I expect him to bring is Tapu Lele, Dragonite, Magnezone, Galvantula, Fortress, and Vaporeon. So with that being said, let's get into the matchup here. Alright, so as you can see, he did not bring either of his 2 electric types, which is actually not that bad because Araquanid shouldn't be an issue if it's not Bandit, and then Staraptor could be a slight nuisance, but as long as it's not Scarf, it shouldn't be that big of a problem. So still the game plan is to try and weaken his team with Scolipede, and then hopefully set up with either Snorlax or Reuniclus if I can. Now, early on in this matchup, I was originally live recording this until like, I think before turn 10, and then that's when Sergio decided to wake up. So I had a screaming baby throughout this matchup, and that's not an excuse. I'm just telling you guys what happened during this game, because like I said, this is a very interesting matchup and there's a lot there's quite a few things to learn from this game if you guys do watch it. So from his team, I thought that he would probably want to lead off with Fortress or maybe even the Staraptor. Either way though, as long as he didn't lead off with Staraptor, then I should have been fine just leading off with my Cobalion. Then again, I could have honestly just taken a close combat without any real worry unless he was banded, but then I guess in that case I could have just pivoted into my Tangrowth. But he led off with Vaporeon, and because I don't want to stay in and get potentially burned by Scald, I'm going to go straight for the Volt Switch as he ends up bringing in the Fortress. And judging for how much damage that Volt Switch did, I'm pretty sure that he was a more Spadef bulky variant if I'm not mistaken. So I end up making an over prediction already turn 2, and you're going to see that this kind of happens quite a bit in this match because obviously I couldn't 100% focus on the game. But the reason why I went for Rock Slide and not for the Hidden Power Fire was because, one, I thought he would switch out Scouting for it because I thought it would just be obvious that I would have Hidden Power Fire, but then again, he maybe thinks that I have Hidden Power Ice for his Dragonite, so that's not that bad that he did stay in. But if I did go for the Hidden Power Fire there, I would have been able to knock him out depending on his EV spread. But I do get off the Rock Slide damage as he goes for the Volt Switch, and he's going to Volt Switch into Staraptor. Obviously, I do not want to stay in here and take a potential Brave Bird, so I switch it to my Cobalion as he goes for the Tailwind. Now, the fact that I went for Tailwind should have told me that this is not a standard offensive Staraptor, but that didn't click in my mind until a couple turns later in this match. So he's going to go for the close combat. I will be able to chew that and take another one as long as he doesn't get a higher roll thanks to my lefties, and I will be able to get up my rocks, and then from here I can pretty much safely just go for the Volt Switch without really having to worry. I could have also gone for the close combat, and I Volt Switch into my Reuniclus, and this is where Sergio woke up. So me not thinking straight, wanting to just get this match over as soon as I could while trying to calm down my child. Don't worry, I did calm down Sergio, but I wasn't thinking, so I switched directly into my Reuniclus thinking, okay, you know what, I'm just gonna start setting up. I'm gonna go for the Acid Armor, go for the Calm Mind, and then from there I should be able to just pretty much win this matchup, completely forgetting about the fact that, hey, Vaporeon could possibly have Roar or Haze. So he's going to get up a layer of T-Spikes, not really sure why. I'm guessing he just wants to force in my Scolipede sooner than I would normally bring him in. As he brings in the Vaporeon, and this is where it dawned on me, well, crap. He definitely has the Roar, or he has the Haze. Best case scenario is that he has Roar, because if it comes down to it, my last Pokemon being Reuniclus will be able to 100% set up all over this Vaporeon, and then after 1 Acid Armor and 2 Calm Minds, I pretty much can just win the game with Reuniclus. But if he has Haze, then this is going to turn out into a bit of a longer matchup due to me misplaying and being slightly distracted and just sending in my Reuniclus directly. So of course he turns out to have the Haze, and this really sucks. So as you see there, Psychic did 32%. Now I was not aware of this during the matchup, so just keep that in mind. I was not aware that Psychic did 32% to Vaporeon. So I am going to Psychic him here, get off a decent little bit of damage, and then I'm going to switch right into my Scolipede, expecting him to just want to try and go for the Wish and not go for the Scald, as I go for the Earthquake, predicting him to bring in the Fortress. And again, I do a lot of over predictions in this matchup, and this one really costs me because I'm going to get burned by the Scald. Now that Scald burn is just the beginning of so many things in this matchup. So it does suck that I got burned, but I decided to just switch out, thinking that I can save my Scolipede for Death Fodder later in this match. As he brings in the Staraptor, pretty positive that he's not going to go for the Brave Bird. I stay in, and he activates my Tango Berry, which kind of sucks because I could have used it against that Araquanid potentially, but it's not that big of an issue. As I knock out the Fortress, he brings in the Araquanid now, and I'm just going to take this chance to sack off my Scolipede. And this is where, if I had Spikes over Protect on my final move, it would have come in handy, because I did, when I first made the team, I did have Spikes, but then I changed it up to Protect on the off chance that he would have a Scarfer, because at +2 speed, nothing that he has Scarf could have outsped Scolipede. So in theory, I was thinking more long term than thinking of just trying to get up hazards, but this is where getting up a layer of Spikes or T-Spikes would have come in handy. So after Rock Sliding, I switch into my Cobalion, expecting him to want to switch into the Staraptor, but no, he goes for the Skull. Thankfully, he doesn't burn me, and now I can get up my Rocks, and getting up Rocks are going to be very helpful in this matchup, because they break the multi-scale on Dragonite, and they will get residual damage every time he tries to pivot around with his walls. So as he brought in the Tapu Lele, I can't stay in obviously, and my best switch into this is my Reuniclus. And if he does go for the Shadow Ball here, that's not that bad, I guess, because then I can just get a free switch into my Snorlax and potentially get up a Curse. So he's gonna go for the Moonblast, and he does 49%, getting the special attack drop. So thinking that he would switch into Vaporeon, I bring in my Snorlax here, but he just goes for a Moonblast, and then he crits me and gets the special attack drop. The special attack drop doesn't matter, so it's fine. Now, knowing that I can take another one, I'm going to go for the Curse, and because he can't 2-hit KO me after lefties, I'm going to take this chance to go for the Body Slam. In hindsight, what I should have done was most likely gone for a second Curse, because then at that point, I would have been able to more safely stay in against this Staraptor and potentially stayed in against a Banded Dragonite, because as you can see, the close combat does 41%. So if I had got up that second Curse, then obviously I would have been able to potentially not get to a KO, and it probably would have been a 3-hit KO depending on rolls. So I do get a little lucky here, and I pull the Sleep Talk with the Body Slam. As I hit him with the Body Slam, he has the Rocky Helmet, and now I know that this is a most likely like 9 out of 10, 99% sure that this is a physically defensive Staraptor, which I was not at all expecting. And this again is where me getting up that second Curse would have come in handy, because I would have been a +1 attack instead of just neutral, and then Body Slam would have done that extra little bit of damage. But if I was able to Parahax him here, then I could have just safely stayed in, and what am I trying to say? I could have stayed in, and then I could have wasted my my rest turn. Sorry, I'm just drawing complete blanks right now. But he ends up making a very good play there, going for the Roost, and then U-turning on my switch into my Kabutops, because I thought he would go for the Brave Bird on my Tangrowth. So as he U-turns into the Vaporeon, I'm just gonna switch directly back into my Tangrowth. If he does burn me, it's really not that big of an issue because I'm not going to be going for the Earthquake against anything, and the only thing I really have to Rock Slide is the Dragonite. And I guess at this point I still don't know what kind of set this Dragonite is, but worst case is that it's a Dragon Dance Dragonite. So I'm going to Giga Drain the Vaporeon, doing a decent little bit of damage to him, and I will be able to beat him 1v1 depending on rolls, as I do predict him to bring in the Dragonite here. I'm going to go for the Rock Slide. Unfortunately, he does get the Wish, and then he turns out to be Dragon Dance. And at this point I'm thinking, well, I just lost this match. I'm about to get swept by this Dragonite because I really have nothing on my team that can take a +1 Adamant Dragonite, and I know, Outrage, sorry, and I know he's Adamant because he was outsped by my Scarf Kabutops, which is made to outspeed Adamant Dragonite. But if he has Dragon Claw, then I still have a chance to actually win this game. So Stone Edge does a pretty good chunk of damage, and I couldn't risk switching out here because he could have easily gone for another Dragon Dance, and then at +2/+2 at that point the match most likely would have been over because he would have been in multi-scale range, and then I have to deal with the +2 attack, +2 speed Dragonite. So Stone Edge doing 54% is really nice, 53% I guess, whatever, 53.9 apparently, and then he just nukes me with the Outrage as I bring in my Tangrowth. I'm hoping that Rock Slide will do enough to where I can maybe knock him out, or if it doesn't knock him out, then I can switch out, sack off Cobalion, and then bring back in Tangrowth. So as you can see there, he is confused. Now, he actually does not have the Lumberry. And the funny thing about this is that he actually had the Mental Herb, because he did tell me that he thought that got rid of confusion, but Mental Herb stops you from being taunted and encored, if I'm not mistaken. So seeing that Outrage did 67%, I may have a chance to live another one after I sack off my Cobalion here. Plus there is a chance that he could hit himself in confusion. So as I bring in my Tangrowth, there is a slight chance that I can live a +1 Adamant Dragonite's Outrage thanks to my 24 defensive ease. The absolute minimum damage that Dragonite can do to me is 66%, and he's already done 67. So if I get a little lucky here, then I'm not going to get swept, and I may have a small chance of still winning this matchup, even though he does have Haze on his Vaporeon. So thankfully I get lucky here, and he hits himself in the confusion, knocking himself out. And if he did have the Lumberry there, then obviously it would have come down to whether or not he did get absolute min damage with that Outrage. So if he did have it, then I guess it may have not mattered, but the odds of him obviously getting a higher roll were more in his favor. Either way though, I'm still in this matchup. I still have a chance to win. I messed up very early on in the match. I've been getting predictions very wrong so far, but I still have a small chance of winning this game. So as he brings in the Tapu Lele, I'm just going to sack off my Snorlax at this point because Snorlax really isn't going to be able to do much, and I didn't want to bring in my Reuniclus and have it take any more unnecessary damage. Now because he did lock himself into Psyshock, this is basically my perfect chance to just try and set up on him. So as he goes for the Psyshock, I am going to go for the Recover, and then I'm going to take this chance to go for the Acid Armor on the off chance that he wanted to Heart Switch into his Araquanid or even his Staraptor. As he brings in the Vaporeon, I thought that he would try and go for the Haze, so I switched into my Tangrowth as he goes for the Wish, and thankfully he's not burning me with these Scalds. So my Tangrowth is very well trained, as you can tell, and I'm going to be able to just stay in here and basically spam Giga Drain or switch up moves between Giga Drain and Rock Slide so I can kind of pressure him and prevent him from trying to get a free switch into Staraptor or Araquanid. So I do go for the Giga Drain here, and then I'm going to switch into my Reuniclus, expecting him to want to go for the Protect. And again, I was not aware that Psychic was able to do about 30% to Vaporeon. So I go for the Calm Mind as he brings in the Araquanid, and at this point I'm thinking, well, I lost. Because if he's Choice Banded, then after an Acid Armor, he can still easily just 2 KO me. And then I can't beat him 1v1 with my Tangrowth because I lost my Tangaberry. But he doesn't turn out to be banded. However though, he does get a crit. But the crit isn't going to end up mattering too much. it is gonna force me to recover here. Either way though, I most likely would have recovered regardless if he crit me or not, and I'm able to take the hit, and now I will be able to make the aggressive play here and go for the Psychic, because I did expect them to want to bring in the Vaporeon or just try and stay in to beat my Reuniclus. And as he goes for the Haze, I'm gonna go for the Psychic again, and still I was not aware that Psychic did 30%, because at this point I still have Sergio and I'm trying to calm him down. So I go for the Calm Mind, predicting him to want to go for the Protect. As he brings in the Staraptor, he crits me again, but it's fine, it's fine, it's fine, as I do go for the Acid Armor at +1 Spadef. There's no way that this Tapu Lele will be able to beat me 1v1, so I'm going to go ahead and take this chance to go for the Recover, as he's not getting a Spadef drop just yet. I will be able to take another one, and he gets the Spadef drop. It's fine though, it's fine though, I still can take a non-crit Shadow Ball as he gets another Spadef drop, and I go for the Calm Mind. Now, Shadow Ball did 51%. I am not at 51% HP, which means I will be knocked out by another Shadow Ball, so I'm basically forced to switch out here into my Tangrowth, and thanks to me having Rocks up, there's no way that this Tapu Lele will be able to switch back in and survive to be able to get off another hit on any of my Mons. So I do have to make the switch out here into my Tangrowth, hoping that he doesn't crit me, but he gets the Spadef drop. It's okay though, because I can take another one and I will be able to knock him out with the Giga Drain. Unfortunately though, I am not in range of where I can live a Lunge or a Leech Life from Araquanid, and neither is my Reuniclus. Which means if he's running any Speed EVs at all on this Araquanid, he can outspeed my Tangrowth, knock me out, and then knock out my Reuniclus, and that is basically going to be the game. But, ladies and gentlemen, but wait! Did I forget to say that Tomas is well trained, because I'm going to get some revenge hacks here and get 2 flinches in a row, beating this Araquanid 1v1, giving me still a chance to win this game. So as in comes the Staraptor, I didn't want to bring in Reuniclus because obviously I don't want to switch into a Brave Bird or a U-turn. As he knocks me out with the U-turn, he got another crit. And I'm pretty sure I would have been able to live that U-turn depending on rolls. But as he U-turns into Vaporeon, even if he wants to go for the Protect here, he's not going to be in range of where he can live a Psychic. And this is where me not knowing that Psychic did around 30% kind of costs me. Because I go for the Calm Mind instead of being aggressive and going for the Psychic, and I'm going to drag out this match just that little more. So he did go for the Wish as I went for the Calm Mind, and he's gonna go for the Protect here as I go for the Calm Mind again, because I want to try and bait him to go for the Haze, because if I can Calm Mind up on that Haze, then I can put him in a scenario of where he may not even go for the Haze the following turn, allowing me to get off a +1 hit on this Vaporeon. And unfortunately, at this point, the only real way I can beat this Vaporeon is if I get a crit, get a Spadef drop, or he just really misplays. So, after everything that's happened, after all the misplays, all the mispredictions, all the hacks, I still have a chance to win this game with Reuniclus, and that's what I'm going to hopefully try and do. So at +1, I do get him in the mindset of not wanting to go for the Haze, and I'm going to be able to hit him with the +1 Psychic, not getting a Spadef drop or crit. That's fine though. It's fine though. As he goes for the Haze here, I do get that crit, which is really, really good, and now I do put him in range of where a Psychic will knock him out. As I go for the Psychic here, he is going to gain back his lefties, and I make a really bad misplay here, knowing that his only real chance to try and live was to go for a second Protect and not the Wish. I stupidly go for the Calm Mind instead of being aggressive and going straight for the Psychic, as he is going to be able to take another Psychic after going for this haze because I get a lower roll, and now we're in a scenario of where I can just Psychic 100% and thankfully knock him out. And if he had gone for the wish on my Psychic turn 68, then he could have protected, and then from there we would have just repeated the cycle until eventually I did crit him, or I caught him off guard with a +1 Psychic again, or he just ended up really misplaying, or I got this death drop with the Psychic. And thankfully I'm able to beat this Vaporeon down, and then Staraptor, being a defensive variant, will not be able to knock me out with any one hit. So I am going to go for the Acid Armor, expecting him to try and go for the Brave Bird or the U-turn. And after this Acid Armor, unless he gets 2 crits with U-turn in a row, then there's basically no way he can beat me. So after this recover, I can go for the Calm Mind, allowing me to 100% to a KO the Staraptor. And if he does get a crit at this point, it doesn't matter because I will be able to live and still knock him out with the Psychic, as he did get the crit there. And Jasmine the Reuniclus, ladies and gentlemen, just putting the entire team on her back. Not to mention that she did get a lot of help from Tangrowth, man. Tangrowth and Reuniclus were down 2-4, and they were able to bring it back. And like I said, there's quite a few things to be learned from this matchup. One, always check the items on your Pokemon before you battle, because if he had the Mental Herb, then he would have had a much better chance of winning this match if he didn't get absolute min damage on my Tangrowth. Another lesson is that don't give up. Don't give up even if the odds seem bleak, because like I said early on in this match, I really wanted to quit. I wanted to just stop battling. Luckily though, because the fact that if I do forfeit, it counts as a 6-0 to my opponent, and the fact that I didn't want to forfeit and be that guy and seem like a sore loser, I still tried to play the battle out. And even after all the misplays and all the mispredictions and all the damn hacks, I was able to win and pull out the victory. And just don't give up, guys, and make sure to check out your Pokemon and what their items do before every game, and make sure to take everything into consideration, because I was not at all expecting him to bring defensive Staraptor. Like, that did not cross my mind at all. I thought he would just bring offensive, most likely Banded, just to try and deal damage to me. And just, yeah, this was a very, very interesting and just very hectic battle that I hope you guys did enjoy. And if you did, make sure to hit the like button down below. The question of the day should be on your screen again, so make sure to answer that, guys. And with that being said, I will see you all later today with the second upload. So thank you all for watching, guys. Later, everybody.
Cause my brain and heart are both tied in the knot, and this hinders me from crying a lot. This causing me to show no emotion. But when I said I cared, I wasn't joking. But I guess it's too late for me to become broken. For now, I'm living with no more pain, tears, or hoping. I'm just coasting. Yeah, I said I'm coasting. No more pain, tears, and hoping. For real.